There's been an underperformance of commodities as detailed by the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index as compared to the S&P 500. According to Katusa research, commodities have never been cheaper against the benchmark index in over 47 years of being able to measure the two against each other. What's behind this? Well, John Meyer is a founding partner and mining analyst at SP Angel. John, are commodities, or have they been unloved, or is the spread as much to do with the rise in the price of the S&P as the low levels of commodities?
Well, nobody should be surprised at this. The value of a commodity relative to other things has been falling ever since the Stone Age, in effect, and the Bronze Age, really, when we talk about metals. It's because we've become more efficient at producing commodities. If you look at the mining truck on the screen, you can see that's a very big truck. It's 100 times the size of what would have been used 100 years ago. Go back 100 years, people were using wheelbarrows. Before that, they were using slaves. Now we're using hugely sophisticated trucks that carry 200, 400 tons at a time. So the unit cost of producing those commodities has gone down. The margins, of course, for the companies producing those commodities have gone up. The S&P 500 is really relative. Works according to the margins of the companies producing the commodities. They're producing a lot more profit, but at the same time they're producing commodities cheaper than they ever used to, and that's great news for the consumer.
One of the big things over the years, I mean, talking 47 years, I was talking about this research paper, has been the rise of China. A lot of Chinese growth. To what degree is China responsible for that spread? Because I know there has been some developments in China which has actually encouraged a small uptick in commodities.
Well, China Inc., the Chinese state, has effectively sponsored and funded with low capital costs huge amounts of commodity production, mine production within China, as well as the cheap conversion of ores into metals within China with cheap electricity, cheap finance, cheap labour, cheap everything. That is coming to an end, in fact has done rather sharply at the end of last year with this new anti-pollution drive. Effectively they're cutting the energy going into many of these polluting commodity conversion units and that energy is going into higher margin, new technology types of industries, and so that's causing commodity prices to rise. So, for example, the vanadium price more than doubled over the last 6 months, and we're seeing this in a whole range of commodities. We expect the titanium price to increase significantly in the next month or so. Other commodities are rising: copper, zinc, nickel, a whole lot. I mean, the nickel price doubled over the last year. This is a big rise that should have happened over the last 5 years and was really held back by China overproducing in these commodity areas.
Yeah. Africa, of course, has changed a lot over that 47 years, with a lot of minerals, of course, in Africa. And, of course, recently we've also seen Cyril Ramaphosa take over in South Africa, and he's come on a platform of reforming a lot of what goes on. And, of course, mining is front and centre in South Africa. How is South Africa changing to accommodate what's going on in the commodities market?
Huge change in Southern Africa, actually, because you've got Mugabe, who's been pushed out, and the new man that's moved in there, Mwanza. Then now we've got Cyril Ramaphosa now leading the ANC, so Zuma's days are definitely numbered. Cyril Ramaphosa has done very, very well out of black empowerment. He's not known to be corrupt. He's cleaning up the ANC. He used to be the leader of the National Union of Mine Workers in South Africa. I've met him a number of times. He's very sensible, very switched on, very business focused, and I think he's going to create a huge transformation in South Africa. So we've seen the rand strengthen. I think new investment will flow into South Africa, and it will become a much more business-friendly place to go to. In
the last couple of months, I was reading that the South African rand against the dollar has risen by about 20%. What is the effect of a rise in the local currency like that on these producers?
Well, that serves to pull back the value of dollar earnings and sterling earnings, in effect. So there's a simple currency translation issue. The longer term benefit is easy to see because inflation will fall within South Africa and it should become much easier to do business as the ANC reforms itself. Still got a long way to go. South African growth itself has been cut back recently, and it will take a while to restart that. But I think the writing's on the wall. It is coming, and I think it will become a better place to do business.
Yeah, let's ask you for a couple of picks. I want to get into stocks in just a minute, but the commodity itself, what is the commodity to go long on at the moment?
Well, the whole range of commodities. I think nickel, very strong and critical for the new sort of battery materials story that is running, because we've got all these companies around the world looking to secure more lithium, more nickel, more cobalt to ramp up their battery production for electric vehicles and everything else that is becoming electric. So that's a clear one. Things like vanadium, which vanadium redox batteries I think will become a feature of the future. They're not there yet, but at the moment there's more vanadium being used in steel rebar for construction, not just in China where they're now enforcing the rules on vanadium in steel, but mainly in the United States where there's a lot more construction going ahead, and construction companies don't know how they're going to keep up with the new demand. So the Trump impact, the Trump effect is very strong out there.
Yeah. Stocks to watch?
Well, Bushveld Minerals, based in South Africa, ramping up production of vanadium, so a huge beneficiary of that rise in vanadium prices, and we just increased our valuation on that to 18p from 14p, and the stock's down at 8.6 at the moment, so that's a good one. And I think there's going to be a whole range of other companies to come through that will do well. Sula Metals, now called African Battery Metals, on the cobalt. They just picked up a cobalt license in the DRC. That's highly speculative, but more to come there. And I think a whole range of other small companies to follow through.
Okay, all right, John, well, thanks indeed for joining us with a snapshot there, a look as to how that underperformance of commodities plays out into the opportunities in the markets. That was John Meyer from SP Angel. Subscribe to IG for educational content, company insight, financial analysis and expert commentary.